Now, one of the issues with these Beast Machines characters is they are hard to stand up. Like, it's all legs. He's all limmy.
He was jealous of Black Arachnia.
Yeah.
So did you want to put anything else up here? Like, we don't have to have the blaster or Saba up here.
Well, I don't know. Let's see. I guess we'll see what else we got.
What color today?
What color?
Purple?
Purple. Sure. Let's make sure I got the right audio. Exterior mic.
Actually, that doesn't look too bad now. Okay, now it just looks horrible.
Yeah, there's a problem. There's a problem. His name
It's Doug.
Doug.
Welcome back to Beast Machines Monday.
It's not back. It's the first one.
That they know of.
Welcome to Beast Machines Monday.
I'm your host, Predacon Paul.
And I am your host, your other host,
Decepticon.
Doug. Hey everybody, welcome back. Look at us. We're here.
This is our first thing that we shooting that we're this studio, new
Yeah.
condo.
Words, mouth, articulation. Yeah.
Not my forte.
nor mine.
That is.
Nor mine. So we are back, and we are now discussing the ever controversial, ever divisive sequel to Beast Wars, Beast Machines.
Yes.
Thanks, Paul. Yes, it's super exciting because it's a chance for us to, have a look back on something that I feel like we don't have the same relationship with as we did Beast Wars.
I think if we did Reboot, we would have the same relationship with it.
Very similar, yeah.
I didn't really take to Beast Machines. I rejected it immediately. I'm not really sure why.
Have you actually watched the whole show before?
I have not. No.
Okay, so that actually, there's another thing that kind of changes the
Remember
direction.
how I told you that I rejected it immediately?
Well, yeah, okay, I guess why I asked was because some people reject something but continue to watch it. So some people hate watch things. So I don't know if you're that person or were ever that person.
I freaking hate this so much. Next episode.
So we are starting, naturally, at the beginning. We have watched the Reformatting. That's what Reformatting looks like, to us anyway.
This episode begins with Optimus running his ass off. But it's not Optimal Optimus where we left off at the end of Beast Wars.
The ass is significantly less shiny than how we left it.
Terrier.
Yeah.
More muscular. And he's monkeying around. They should just call this episode Monkey Business.
Why do we never get an episode of Beast Wars or Beast Machines called Monkey Business?
I don't know. It's a shame.
Yeah. I guess it's because gorillas are actually apes. But no, really, they are. There are tanks. Tons of tanks. Oh, by the way, we're on Cybertron. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then the Beast
made it
Wars,
home.
Yeah, they made it home, but things aren't peachy the way that we thought they might be. They thought they were going to come home, big welcoming committee being like, whoa, it's the Axelon crew?
Yeah, and they were going to fly over the Golden Gate Bridge, and then the camera would pan out, and then you'd see, an old Optimus with long white hair, and he'd be like, computer, end screen. And they'd be like, 10 years ago, the Axelon came back. And then he'll peer ominously off into the distance, and then the credits would roll up, and you'd see,
This is Voyager we're talking about?
Yeah!
Okay, cool.
Endgame. So Optimus is, running from these tanks that are just blasting everything.
And he stops because he's like, you know what? It's time for me to just have a chit-chat with these guys. So he's like, I don't know who you are or what you want from me.
Where you're from, what you did.
As long as you love me. They're like, we're just tanks. Optimus is like, okay, well fine, I'm going to turn into a robot. Because that's what I do. I'm actually a robot in disguise. Optimus Primal maximize, and he can't transform. You see a little bit of his robot mode, but then he just goes back into an ape, and he's like, well, that's not working. And then he's a little bit like,
Which turns out he's having withdrawals.
He was addicted to being transmetal.
Yeah.
And now
out of my head.
And now he's not.
He's not.
And anyway, so he runs more. Oh no, he doesn't run. This time he jumps up and he goes like, whoop, whoop, whoop,
Now he's monkeying around.
and then he sees this sort of like whooshy thing. And it's like, hey, guess what? Hey, I want you to go this way.
The plot is over here. He's
It's
like,
over
oh, look.
And he's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just go where this shiny thing tells me because it beats being blown to pieces. So he jumps in this moving train or monorail thing.
Why was the train moving at all?
It wasn't transporting anything. It was just on automatic. Maybe Megatron's a big fan of that Simpsons episode with the monorail.
Okay.
I really hate organic beans, but I have a soft spot for the Simpsons.
Yes.
I mean, any time in the 90s anyway. You really lost track.
him to eat his shorts. He told him not to have a cow.
He disrespected his father regularly. He bumps into Rat Trap, who happens to be hiding in there, and Rat Trap's like, hey,
Banana?
Guess what I can't do? I can't transform.
And he's like, me too, let's get out of here as the train explodes because
Yes.
they get shot at some more.
But Main Street's still all cracked and broken. Sorry, Mom. The mother's spoken.
And then they go running again. You're going to notice there's a bit of a theme in this episode about a lot of running. There's a lot of running. And then it's like, hey, guess what, Optimus? It's me, the voice again. You gotta go this way. And then they find themselves at a dead end and like, oh, damn it. Dead
And
end.
then the tank is like, hey, I'm going to blast you.
But all these tanks, they need a minute to go. Otherwise, if they shoot too fast.
Why do they need to spin the thing? Because half of them spin their things and the other ones don't. The turrets are just stationary and then like,
It really depends
like-
on how much delay they need for things to fall into place for the plot to happen.
oh, okay, so they got to their mark early. They're like, oh, spin your turret.
A cheetah jumps down, grabs the gun, and goes like, "Whoa, hold on, guys!" Whee!"
But it's not just any cheetah.
Well, I mean, it is probably the only cheetah on Cybertron. It's Cheetor. Then now all three of them are running. Basically, that's kind of where it leads. I mean, one of the tanks explodes because the other tanks shoot it, and then
They just slag their buddy, and that's like hardcore, cold-hearted.
Yeah, that is ice cold slag. So they're running again, and this time they're surrounded. The ground splits open, and
Because they
they're
were
like,
shooting and they were like, ugh.
and then suddenly, guess what happens, guys? Hey, Optimus. Hey, it's me again.
Jump down the hole.
Jump down the hole, Optimus. You know you wanna. And Optimus is like, let's jump down the hole. And the Rat Trap's like, no. And Cheetor's like, ah. And then they do. They kind of get put into positions where they have to do what the shiny ball is telling them to do.
Yeah. It's what's driving the story forward.
And then they land on a web.
And then Optimus is all like, yo, this isn't a space web. This is a spider web.
And down comes the spider.
She's all like, I'm going to eat you.
It's Black Arachnian.
She's like, oh, I thought you were another ape, rat, and cheetah.
Yeah. She's like, oh, you guys.
Thank God I realized it was you of all.
Yeah, all the apes and rats and cheetahs hanging around Cybertron. So then she's like, hey, guess what, guys? My calculations tell me that we're going to be dead in 3 cycles. Mm-hmm. And Optimus is like, you just made that number up. And she's like, yeah, I just wanted to sound smart.
But then he was like, no, but we will die.
And meanwhile, they're all like, they're like, well, you know, as long as we're here, we may as well go down.
Further.
Yeah, you know, just go see what's going on down inside, in the bowels of Cybertron. And, you know, there's some cool architecture.
A lasagna type structure of ancient civilizations.
Yeah, one's the cheese civilization, one's the meat civilization, the feta civilization.
And then the noodle civilization.
The noodle civilization. You need the noodle to really hold it all together.
Yeah. And this goes on for ages because
It's a thing.
Black Arachnia's webbing is starting to like dry up.
But you know what? You know, you can buy products to kind of help things along as you get older. So, thank you. And then they just all fall down. I guess luckily they must have been near the bottom because they didn't splat as they hit the ground.
They just thunked.
They thunked. It was a good thunk. Probably didn't help their situation anymore to have that thunk. But, you know, at this point, they're pretty close to dead anyway.
Optimus looks up and out of frustration decides the best thing to do would be to pick up the only thing that's lying in my general vicinity, which just happens to be a rock, and I'm going to hurl it in this direction. And he hits a black window, which explodes, and then a spark shows up and is like, hey, Optimus.
Guess who it is? It's me.
She goes on this long-winded rant about being the all-spark or whatever the heck.
And then, you know, it gives a few cryptic phrases like the seeds of the future lie buried in the past. Mm-hmm. What's the other one they were saying? Is in order to have the
Pray to the wind.
beast within. You gotta have the tame the beast without.
Honor the Carnia, right? Sparta doesn't march when we're, in the E4s or whatever.
Yeah, and it says, have you had your break today? Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. I'm loving it.
Hungry? Why wait? Grab a Snickers. A space Snickers.
Yeah, well, that's the best kind, because that means that they can handle 0G.
Yeah.
Optimus comes out, and he's got himself a pretty rad new body. He's all got the biggest hands, and he looks more kind of like, gorilla-like, and he's like, guess what? If you want to survive, you got to get reformatted.
He looks like an orangutan meets a gorilla.
Orangutan?
A orangutan?
Yeah. He's also got, techie bits around his neck and stuff like that.
And the animation is slightly better. You're just like, whoa.
Yeah, it's like, wow,
great.
Wow. The rest of the Maximals, they're like, well, let's see. The choice is death or
step into the
reformatting. And they're like, oh, I guess we can. Okay, fine. We'll get reformatted. Why not? We've all gotten new bodies before. It's not like this is new to us.
Yeah.
So they all stroll in there.
Plus, they've got toys to sell.
Oh yeah. They come out and they're like, "Woo! Look at us. We're kind of cool."
Yeah.
I'm a big purple spider.
They look like animals if they were from Attack on Titan.
The Oracle's like, "Okay, peace out," and then it leaves, and they're like, "Oh well, okay, I guess."
Where did the Oracle go? And then, lo and behold, light bikes from Tron. And they're like, "Oh crap! I played that game when I was a kid."
Yeah, and it was fun, and it's really hard, and it's really cool to like box your opponent in, and then they can't do anything, and then you just watch them go around in circles, just trying to survive long enough, and then they die. Suckers. There's some motorcycles now. That's not the tanks. These are the tanks' buddies, the motorcycles, and they're chasing them down. But the Maximals they're ready this time. They're like, okay, maximize.
And then nothing happens because the new bodies didn't come with instruction manuals.
And let me tell you, some of these more complicated Transformers, you got to get the instructions, or you're just gonna be sitting there trying to like not
break them.
Yeah, I really don't want to break them. I really don't. I'm trying to move them very carefully. It sucks, but. So after not maximizing, they're like, well, I guess we better do what we've been doing all day, running. There's a cliff, and they jump onto the side of the cliff.
They split up, and then I'll go this tunnel, you go that tunnel. Monkey Man, you stay here.
And Monkey Man's like, sure, I guess, why not? Let's just split up. That never goes wrong.
I mean, we've seen all the horror movies. That always goes well for them.
Yeah. And then, they actually do pretty good. They take out some motorcycles. The Cheetor bounces around, being fast and a kitty cat. Rat Trap bites a wheel,
Because the average Surak can chew through a steel drain pipe.
Yeah, so I hear.
I learned that from Too Fast, Too Furious.
The Black Kraken, she's got her webs.
Yeah.
So, she's not defenseless.
Actually, hers was probably the best one. She lifts the web and then catches it, and the poor thing gets eaten by Black Arachnia.
Yeah, it looks like she's gonna eat it. Like, dude, how does she do that? Does she just eat them? Because we got a spider. It liquefies your everything and then drinks you up. So does she just like liquefy the motorcycle? Like, how's it work? Okay, Paul doesn't think about spiders too much, so we'll move right past there. And then of course Optimus he's got the big muscles, and he starts bashing all these guys, and then one of them gets lucky and like pushes him off the cliff. And as he's falling, it's like, hey Optimus, don't forget, I told you some things.
About the beast within.
Yeah. And he's like, all right, okay.
He's like, right.
He's like, well, I better.
In.
And then splat. Luckily, the fall is long enough. He's got some time to like kind of think about this, and he gets into his little meditation pose. He's like, I am transformed. And he turns from a monkey man into a man monkey. Up he goes with his rockets, because he can't be Optimus if he can't fly.
That's true, because we all know gorillas. Why does he always get the power of flight?
Yeah, gorillas known for their aviation abilities. Optimus gets up. He doesn't really have any like classic Optimus. Nor does he have any like the classic Optimus.
Yeah, it's more like a like a Kamehameha or a Hadouken. Hadouken! And then he grabs a couple. And he's like, I'm gonna choke you until you tell me what I want to know. And then all of a sudden he starts to de-transform, and then he just drops them down the pit.
He's like, dang it, now I don't know stuff. And they're like, well,
how did you do that?
How did you transform? Did you say maximize plus?
Or maximize please?
Pretty maximize with a banana on top? That was his line, guys. I just took it. I'm sorry.
Sorry, good man.
And he's like, well, the answer is yes to all of that. But also, we're going to go train. And Rat Trap's like, but we were on the train earlier and it exploded. And Jobs was like, hey, shut up, Rat Trap. Come on.
You think you're so funny. And then that's it.
That's it. Except then it fades into somewhere else where there's a mysterious voice that sounds suspiciously like Megatron as it's panning across this weird mechanical clickety click body type thing. And he's like, oh, I hate beast modes, I hate Optimus, and I hate
cleaning fur off the couch.
And if there's one thing I hate the most, it's monkey business. And then bada bing, bada boom, bada bing, the end. So, Paul.
Yes.
How do we? What worked for you? I guess this is a good question. Come out. Yeah.
I'm going to start with what didn't work for me.
Okay, let's talk about what didn't work.
It didn't seem to have a plot.
It didn't have a beginning, middle, end kind of story. It was definitely very introductory.
At least in Beast Wars. Here we go.
The comparisons officially beginning.
Okay, I'm not going to do this for the entire series, but I have to for the sake of the fact that this being the opening episode.
Right.
In Beast Wars, there's a beginning. Ships drop out of translite, and all of a sudden they're battling. And there's already like talk on the Predacon ship of this being the wrong planet, or there's already talk of on the Maximal ship of like where are we like in the universe. And then there's all these great character moments with Megatron and Dinobot, and then there's some great character moments with the Maximals, and then it's a little expository here and there. We know that the Predacons are here, so they can get energon, so they can fuel their war against the Maximals. We're the only thing that's in the way of the Predacons. But the ultimate objective is to get back home to Cybertron. But in this, it just starts with Optimus is running, and then he runs into everyone else, and there's no destination. There's no clear objective except for survive. Which might work, I don't know, but by the end of it, there's no resolution either. It's just like, oh, we turned into these new robot modes, so we're no longer sick from the virus, which, by the way, we never get introduced to. It's just like, we just see the effects of it, and then they're just cured. Maybe they're going to expand on that later, but I feel like the first episode was just missing way too much. It was a concept.
It does offer very little in the way of explanation. And I think that is by design. I think the objective to the episode is to get the wheels turning. You know, like make the audience wonder what's going on. Because there's so much that is not answered. There are a lot of things like...
Questions?
There are many questions.
Questions that need answering?
Yeah, exactly. Answering. You sound like you said answering.
I did. Why is Gandalf leaving? You've only just arrived.
Questions.
Questions that need answering.
There's a lot of mystery. You could see it as a pro, or you could see it as a con. I think depending on what you're kind of hoping for. And I think the upside to it is that it does establish that this is going to be different than Beast Wars even in its not just location, in how the story is going to be told. It is going to be more serialized. I see it as a pro. I actually like the fact that there are a lot of unanswered questions. How good that is also depends on how these questions get answered, and even if they get answered. Beast Wars 1 and 2, the pilot episodes, they do work as a self-contained story. This episode does not work as a self-contained story. It is the beginning of something else. I guess I am coming from a perspective where I do know like what's kind of down the pipeline. But I do even remember like when I first saw it, I do remember actually quite liking it as far as like a pilot goes, because I was interested. Like it pulled me in. The virus, the memory loss, these are things that we aren't really expanded on in the least. They're not at all in this episode, so be aware of that.
What I can say did work for me. Well, the animation style is sharper. Yeah.
Yes, mostly is much better. At this point in time, CG animation was coming every year. It looked like it was getting better and better. Specifically, Cheetor and Optimus, they didn't quite look right.
No.
Yeah, and that kind of bugged me.
I didn't like their new bodies anyway. So like.
I meant their classic bodies.
Oh.
Like they're the way that they were animated, something just didn't quite look right about them. Ratchet was actually he looked mostly the same. Yeah, with a little bit better like lighting and texture and stuff like that. And same with that Black Arachne, she looked pretty good too.
Yeah, Black Arachne. Awesome.
Something about the lines around Cheetor's eyes, it just didn't look right.
He did have sort of like what looked like not bruising, but like a darker around his eyes in Beast Wars. I think they were just trying to enhance that effect, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. For me though, it was still kind of nice to see their classic bodies again because it had been so long the season 1 Beast Wars designs were always my favorite. So
Mine too. What I really liked was them going through the different layers of Cybertron.
yeah,
And actually seeing the different layers of civilization, and that just opens up your mind to like all these possibilities.
it reminds me of New York in Futurama being built on top of New York. That's what came into my mind. It's like, oh, look, it's New York. I like the fact that it kind of like hints at some more deeper Transformers lore. Mm-hmm. I had issues with it feels like there are some plot contrivances.
Oh, so now he's got a problem with the plot. You flip-flop worse than a politician.
Well, it's just a different point in that I just feel like it was kind of like very like, oh, Optimus is like, oh, I'll just hop in here and find Ratchet. Well, and I know he's like being guided by something, but I almost feel like, I don't know, there's a bit of a cop-out. I don't know, I guess the thing I'm going to be struggling with to some degree with this series is the sort of mysticism aspect of it.
Yeah, but they touched on that in Beast Wars.
Did they?
Yeah, when Optimus's spark was lost, and then Rhinox went and found him.
Yeah.
There was like a techno mysticism there because he had to literally reach his consciousness out into space and then find Optimus and bring him back. So there's that element there.
Okay, so Paul forgives that aspect. I don't hate it, but I'm just on the fence.
I didn't say I forgive it.
Okay.
I just assume that I forgive that aspect.
Well, you seem to be justifying it to me.
I'm just making the case.
Okay. No, fair enough. Devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I struggle with it a little bit because
I don't.
Okay.
Makes sense to me.
Okay. Optimus has gone kind of. He's gotten a little hippie in this, and we haven't even seen like the extent of Optimus's like hippie nature yet. I can already see it going in that direction, and I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Well, I have yet to land on my full opinion of it. The new body designs. Okay, I like Cheetor. I think Cheetor looks really good. I like Optimus. I think he looks really good. They're talking about beast modes specifically. Ratchat's kind of ugly. Yeah. And Black Arachnia, legs are pretty long and spindly. I don't know how I feel with Black Arachnia.
She went from being a Black Widow to like a Daddy Longleg.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a downgrade actually. The ones in the corner, the long spin. Yeah, I hate those spiders. Like I kind of like spiders, but I don't like those spiders. And he doesn't like spiders at all. So I'm a little mixed on the new designs. In this one, we only see Optimus in robot mode, and I'm not a fan of his robot mode. I like kind of his build, but I just feel like Optimus can't be Optimus without his ears, you know, like his little robot ears.
Yeah.
Yeah. To see him with like a smooth, like round head, I'm just like, that's not right.
That ain't right. And
also, just I know this was sort of an initiative in the show in general, is that they didn't want the good guys to have any guns. In Optimus' case, he has his Hadouken, like Kamehameha, was blast, and I've never been the biggest fan of that either. They never really talk about the logistics, like he can channel energy through his hands. I don't know. And the transformation itself, it doesn't really work on on a level that I can understand. Like when you watch the classic Transformers and Beast Wars, they
go from being car mode to standing, and
you can see where all the pieces go. Like the headlights. I mean, it happened a lot. The headlights were there a lot. Okay, the headlights, the windows, the wheels were on the arms. Like you could see how a car transformed into a robot. In Beast Wars, you could see like their like heads would go there, or mouths would open up and teeth would be along there. Like
legs would spin.
You could see the components of what they've transformed into, and that was just it was kind of part of their quirk and the character. And this doesn't really have that feeling, and you could see that translated into the toys as well, especially the Optimus toy that I have in here. It doesn't look much like the show at all because you can't translate what is done in the show into a toy where you could with Beast Wars. Sometimes a little loosely. Sometimes it was the toys were more loyal than others, but essentially the toys transformed the same way that they transformed in the show, where in Beast Machines that's just not possible. And I think that's kind of something missing that is important to Transformers. That's like the brand. You're watching the show, they're trying to sell you the toys. Why would they not make those worlds fit together? I don't know. That's one of my chief complaints when it comes to this. And this isn't that's just not just a problem with this episode. That's just where we're starting, I guess.
So we're off to a good start.
The thing is, though, I mean, I have a lot of complaints, but at the same time, I liked it. I actually liked this episode. I thought it was pretty solid. I mean, again, not as a whole story with a story arc. The story is essentially run and let's get fixed. And okay, now we're fixed. Sort of. I thought it was engaging. It had promise to go interesting places. And that's, I guess, for that, if that's what it's trying to do, then I guess it mostly succeeded. You have any more thoughts?
Not really.
Okay.
I need to see more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is fair. After so much deliberation, you should have seen how much deliberating we were doing.
We have paperwork and notes.
We have decided to give the reformatting 3 out of 5 ancient Cybertronian bricks. Smash.
Not stellar. Not terrible.
Not really concluded in any way.
Not really begun it either. Because like there was no clear beginning either. It was just you're dropped right in the middle of everything.
Because there's so much that is unknown, you can't really hate it or love it, I guess. So, nice kind of a generous middle ground. What did you think about the pilot of Beast Machines, the reformatting? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think about our new set and how, it's shiny but also sexy? So, we'd love to hear from you, and thank you so much for tuning in to our new series. We'll see you next time. I'm sorry, did I ruin everything?
You ruined everything.
Okay.
Take your stuff and go.